Hello, welcome to this video. Today I'm going to show you guys how I made this in Dreams in about 6 days. So this whole thing with all the interactions and all of the environments and animations, this all took 6 days to make in Dreams, and I'll show you how I did it. The first thing I started with was this and this one here, just like this. And the beach, the sand was just made of a curve tool, duplicated a bunch of times. I just duplicated the curve tool like this, just to make a flat ground for the player to run on. And then I sculpted this other asset using a sphere, and just to split up the flat ground. So I mainly use these two things, and then I deleted parts of the sand when the artillery hits the ground. So this can create craters in the ground. And that's the first thing that I did, is lay out the terrain. So just this area here, just using those two assets. So the next thing I did was added the water. So once I got the terrain in, I added the water, which is an ocean asset that I found in the Dreamiverse, and I just changed the color to red, so it looks like blood. And then on top of it, I found a really cool splash effect. This effect here in the Dreamiverse, which I added to the coast where the water interacts with the land, just to give the water more detail. And then I found this obstacle, which I then just duplicated around. Then I found this log in the Dreamiverse, which I then built this thing here. So once I got this thing, it's just duplicating it around. And then it's just adding the fire and smoke effects. This is just one smoke effect, which is just in the Dreamiverse. You search Gust of Smoke by K Muffy. I love this effect. I use it in pretty much every creation. And I just delete the logic for it and adjust the effects so that it's more slow paced and more subtle. That's just used to create the battlefield and the atmosphere, like the aftermath of a battlefield. And it's just changing the color and then duplicating it around to get the fire trail of smoke. So then once I got this, which turns into another asset that you can use, I just duplicated this around so that it looks like the aftermath of some kind of explosion. So it's just laying out the battlefield, and part of it has to also do with the sun and sky here. So I wanted it to have the D-Day look, which is a very early morning dawn kind of color, just based on Saving Private Ryan. And then it's just with the grade effects as well, with the color grading to give that D-Day early morning look to it. So then with the soldiers, I found a really cool asset in the Dreamiverse called World War II Soldier. So this is the one that I used here, and it's made by Tord 6089. He looks just like Tom Hanks from Saving Private Ryan, and it's just one rig duplicated around the entire map. But yeah, once I have the battlefield, it was then adding all of the deceased and spreading them around the map. So the way I did it basically is I used one rig like this and then posed him into a dead body position or something like this. And I made a couple of poses to spread around the map. So after when that's done, I just convert it to a painting, and then once I have the death pose, it's just spreading it around the map. Some of them are animated slightly in the water and different areas of the map. You just get an action recorder, hold L2 to rotate, and then kind of make it move like he's floating on water. Some of them have that motion to it. This one has that motion here. And I did a total of around 5 of these poses. So we have soldiers who are alive and soldiers that are dead in different poses. And the reason why they are paintings is because if you use the original rig, it has logic attached to it, which means high gameplay thermo. They don't have any animation to it, they're just in a storytelling kind of pose. But some do have animation, like this guy who's holding his arm, which is a direct rip off from Saving Private Ryan, so this guy is animated. So I do have individual animations, like hero animations. So then this guy is animated here. And the way I animated this guy is using an action recorder. Like right now he's not moving, there's no motion to it. So I do action recorder, move his hip first, like this. Rewind by pressing L3, and now I grab his leg. And then grab his torso and make him move like this. And then grab his foot and move it around like this. And that's just a quick way of animating side characters without too much keyframing. You just use the action recorder and keep layering the motion like that. So that's how I animated that guy. And this guy's just using a possession recorder. Right now he's just standing in one spot, he's not moving or doing anything. So you just use the record possession, and now it's just puppeteering the character and just making him move to different spots. And you can see the path here, and I try to go back to the original path like that. So then he just moves in a loop. So now he's moving by himself. And then I also have keyframe animation for really complex stuff. This is the keyframe animation here for this particular special event. It's just to give more variety to the world. So this is where he gets shot and gets killed by the MG42. So motion like this, where it's a bit more complicated, it has to be keyframe animated. I made two versions of this where he actually dies, and then another version where he actually lives. So this one's the one where he lives, where he doesn't get shot, he actually makes it to cover. And you can attach extra logic to it so that when you do reach this area where it triggers the event, it either picks via randomizer him getting shot or him actually making it to cover. It's just to give more variety to the world. And yeah, for the dead bodies as well, to make it more gory, I found this intestine asset in the Dreamiverse. So you just search for it. Pile of guts. I think this is the asset that I use here. You just add it to the bodies, the paintings, and it looks absolutely gory as heck. It looks like Saving Private Ryan, and I know it's intestines, but I also used it for missing limbs and stuff. And most of these assets are just from the Dreamiverse, and it's just duplicating it around the scene and creating scenarios with just one thing. This is just one rig, and you can create pretty complex scenarios with just a couple of assets and reusing assets. I did have some other things planned, like a trench warfare area where you blow up the gates, but I never went that far with this demo. But basically, you were supposed to run up the beach, go to the seawall, blow up this fence with some bandoliers, jump into this trench, and then work your way up to this bunker. But, you know, I made this for the trending resets in Dreams, which was 6 days to actually do something for the trending reset. And I just searched the Dreamiverse for existing assets, threw it all together, and just made this in 6 days. Yeah, it's all about the sun and sky and the great effects to give that D-Day look or that cinematic look. You gotta add and tweak the sun and sky and also tweak the great effects to get that cinematic war movie look. And yeah, the explosions as well, that's all stuff that the community made. And it's just throwing in assets that other people made that are based on World War II and just doing animations with it and just putting it all together into one scene. So if you go to the full credits, you can see just how many people actually created the assets. So it is kind of like a studio effort if you really think about it. These are the people involved. And it's just me compiling everybody's work together into one scene, and you get something like this.